Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Arc podcast. Today we're going to be continuing the other half of the segment that I did in the last video, which is power ranking the top 15 teams in the Western Conference. I did the Eastern Conference, so now if you enjoyed this video, go back and watch the Eastern Conference video as well. So without further ado, let's jump right on into this. Starting off at number 15, at the bottom of the West, I think it's going to be the Utah Jazz. They're a team that, although they have some young, enticing pieces here, they don't really have, one, an identity, and two, a solidified superstar in the league yet. Could that be Ace Bailey? Absolutely, there's potential for it. There's other pieces on this roster I really enjoy as well. Lauri Markkanen, he's a big question mark as well. He had a little bit of rough play there last season. But of course, when you're so bad, you don't really have a lot of talent around you, it's going to be tough to have a good overall season. But yeah, Ace Bailey, and I really like Walter Clayton Jr. on this roster as well. I think they have a lot of young pieces, just like I said, cornerstone pieces. They're similar to the Washington Wizards, where they're starting to build this roster here that has very fun, enticing pieces. They just need that superstar. And I think for Utah, honestly, I think it'll be in this upcoming draft where not only could it be Ace Bailey, but I think one of the Boozer boys would be really nice here, where you almost have this, you have somebody like Walker Kessler as your 5, and then one of the Boozer boys and or Lauri Markkanen playing that 4/3 and then flop the other one. And that's something that's super interesting. And yeah, you still have, George is still on this roster. You still have Isaiah Collier on this roster. There's young, enticing pieces, but again, still in that developmental stage. They got to work their way up. Coming in at number 14, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. They're a roster that probably will be higher in seeding, but that's because they traded away that pick swap that they got between them and Milwaukee. They traded that away to then draft Derek Queen. They confuse me so much. Realistically, I don't know the identity. I don't know the direction of the New Orleans Pelicans. Is it Zion? Because they got this weird Kevon Looney, Evie Missy, Derek Queen, Zion Williamson, that weird, all 4 of them they don't stretch the floor, so they're going to be clunky. And then you have, guards like Jordan Poole and DeJounte Murray. I don't really love the pairing there, especially since DeJounte hasn't been as good of a defender as he was when he was in San Antonio. He's also going through injury, so of course he's not going to start the season with them. That's where you have Jordan Poole, but you still have Jordan Hawkins on the roster. You just drafted Jeremiah Fears. I just don't really know. The only bright spot I like about this roster is Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. Those 2 guys. I think it's about time that they trade Zion, move off of him, go recoup some assets, and just figure something else out there and just try and find an identity, honestly. You moved off of Brandon Ingram, and that was overdue. It's overdue for Zion. It's about time. We got to make things happen. It's time to trade Zion. So I don't think they're going to have a great season. I think that they're going to be a little rough, but I guess we'll see. I think it's just going to be clunky. I think it's going to be a lot of hero ball from one-on-ones with Zion or one-on-ones with Derek Queen or Jordan Poole doing Jordan Poole things that we saw in Washington. I don't know. I'm very confused on the Pelicans, so I'll leave it at that. Coming in at number 13, though, I have the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings also, identity is needed. De'Aaron Fox requested a trade. All right, how are we going to adapt? All right, it's time to rebuild. Let's trade Sabonis. Let's go get those assets. Let's move younger. Trade DeRozan. Trade LaVine. Do what you can to get younger. You have probably one of 2 players that I would consider to be the steal of the draft in Nick Clifford. You've got Devin Carter sitting there. Why not go completely young, see what Keon Ellis can do when he's got a bigger role, see what Devin Carter can be, right? See what Nick Clifford is. I honestly don't see the ceiling super high for Keegan Murray. I think he's got a very low ceiling. Even on a championship contending team, do we really see him as let's look at, I don't know, the Thunder, for example. Who would he be on that roster? I guess at his best, it would be Lou Dort, a super good defender that can knock down the three. The issue with that is I don't know. I understand fans absolutely love Keegan Murray. I get it. But I think, one, you pair Sabonis and Keegan Murray together, something might be going on there where you might be getting a superstar over in Sacramento. We know the thing about small market teams, Sacramento, Indiana, even like Cleveland, for example, before LeBron or anyways, Cleveland might be a bad example, but Indiana, Toronto is a great example. Indiana, Toronto, Sacramento, small markets. So what you're going to need is you're going to have to overpay players. Because players aren't just going to be like, oh, yeah, I just want to go play in Sacramento. No. It's going to be like, oh, I'd rather go play in South Beach, Miami, or in Boston because they win, or, Golden State, or something like that. It's not going to be this thing where you're going to need to just overpay. So when it comes to trading, you might need to package a Sabonis and a Keegan. Even though you don't necessarily want to get rid of both, you might need to go get that superstar that's a little frustrated where he's at. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who that superstar would be. And honestly, this is just me spitballing ideas here, hypothetically. What if it's Jaylen Brown for the Celtics? Jaylen Brown this season has an opportunity to prove to all of us, and I'm a Celtics fan and I'm saying this, he has an opportunity to prove to all of us that he is a number one option. He is the guy. It should be him over Tatum. Even when Tatum returns from injury, it's going to be Tatum's team. So this is a guy who won Finals MVP. What if you packaged up a Sabonis and Keegan Murray and shipped him off to Boston for a guy like Jaylen Brown to be your number one option? And you still had Keon Ellis, and you still had Nick Clifford, and then maybe you package Devin Carter with DeMar DeRozan to go get something else that's enticing. And then you have a little bit, because Jaylen Brown went to Cal. It's not too far away. It's in the same state. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas. That's a hypothetical situation, of course. But I think this season, it should be let's scrap it. We got to move off of them. Coming in at number 12, I have the Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers, although they have some talent on this roster, again, lack of identity. They're a team that I like Dame coming home. I think it just never worked out in Milwaukee. A lot of family drama and all that when he was leaving Portland. He is just I think he's going to end his career on a high note these next few years. He's not going to play this season. That's good for somebody like Scoot Henderson. And I think if you're Portland, if you really believe Dame is going to be solid once he comes back from injury, you got to inflate the hell out of Scoot Henderson and make him look as best as he possibly can. Because similar to, like what I was just saying with the Kings, where you're a market that not a lot of people are interested in going to, so you're going to need to trade for your star, right? Trading for a star to pair alongside Dame Lillard. You go and you inflate Scoot Henderson, who was a number 3 overall pick. He's going to have value if he showcases this season that he can do something. You've got a mentor in Damian Lillard. You've got a mentor in Drew Holiday. This team is going to be very good defensively. Very good. Drew Holiday, Tamani Kamara. You've got Shaden Sharp still here. You've got Donovan Clingan, right? And then you've got Scoot. If Scoot can be your offensive weapon, we saw what he did. We saw before the NBA what he was able to do. He was able to get buckets. So if you inflate his value, get some overpaid package for him, you might be in a decent shape. Portland might be chilling. And then, yeah, especially if you can go, even like if you go and talk to someone like Sacramento or New Orleans. New Orleans just be handing out picks these days. The Knicks handed out 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. If Scoot looks good, you don't think that they could get a pick or two for him? Or a pick in a young player for Scoot? I just think that's an interesting thought. The Phoenix Suns are coming in at number, I believe, 11. Yeah, 11. Phoenix, I didn't love the Kevin Durant haul that you got back, right? I understand Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks pick. It's fine. I just probably would have preferred the Miami Heat package over it of the Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, because I don't know. I think Jaime Jaquez showed me enough in his rookie season to know that the sophomore slump, I mean, it would have been worth for me taking a risk on. Jalen Green, I get why they took the risk. He is a player who he can drop 30 or he can drop 8. But if you can get his consistency towards that 30, then that's what you're looking for, of course. Dylan Brooks, solid defender. And then you got guys like Grayson Allen on the roster. Of course, you took your draft pick, you drafted the center out of Duke. I mean, he looks like he could be something solid in the future. You just traded for Nick Richards. You traded for Mark Williams, former Hornet. And this roster, of course, has Devin Booker. And they're going to do whatever they can to keep Devin Booker and make Devin Booker happy. So they just gave him a ton of money. And this offseason, I would assume that they're going to try and make some moves to try and free up some money so that they can then go hopefully get another pairing partner for Devin Booker. But even if they don't, right, and they want to just focus on the Bradley Beal buyout contract that they just are trying to get rid of. Obviously, he just signed with the Clippers. They stretched that contract out to pay him over a few years. But if they can figure something out, Devin Booker, he's only 28. He's got time. He's still in the prime of his career. So there's not really a panic button, especially since he's staying. You got him locked under contract, that whole 9 yards, right? That's what I would keep in mind is the Suns have time. Not like some of these other teams. Coming in, speaking of a team that doesn't have a lot of time, coming in at number 10, we have the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors have no center. That's why I put them so low. Right now, ESPN has their depth chart with Draymond Green at center. You still have Quentin Post here and Trace Jackson Davis. Now, what I want to say about those two is Steph has never really played with a great center in his career. He played with the DeMarcus Cousins at the end of his career. He played with Andrew Bogut. He played with Kevon Looney. You know, like he's in his deep playoff runs, he's never really had a dominant center. So it's not a necessity. And maybe they saw enough from both Trace Jackson Davis and Quentin Post that over this offseason so far that they were like, all right, we're okay with this next year leap because realistically, we just need him to rebound the ball and pass. We don't need and rim run, right? Be able to catch a lob. So realistically, they don't need some high quality center. They're in talks about possibly signing Al Horford, which would help them space the floor. You know, always a center that can space the floor next to Draymond is always a good thing. But that's not been finalized. As of this video coming out, it has not been finalized, so I can't speak on Al Horford being on the Warriors. What I will say is the Warriors are not getting any younger. Steph Curry, obviously, you know, he's pretty close to the point where he's probably considering retirement pretty soon. Jimmy Butler towards the end of his career. Draymond towards the end of his career. These players are not in their prime anymore. What does the future look like for you? Jonathan Kuminga don't want to be a Warrior. He does not want to be there. Moses Moody, I mean, we might as well call him a flop because he's just not playing for you. What's the next step? Brandon Pajinski, I mean, he's cool, but he ain't your future. So I'm interested to see where they go next. Now, of course, it is a big market in Golden State, so I'm not too concerned with it. But before Steph Curry, I mean, there was the We Believe Warriors, of course, but this team ain't really been exciting for a while before Steph Curry. What's after Steph Curry? And right now they're sitting on assets like Jonathan Kuminga when you should be getting him off the block. He don't want to be there. He doesn't fit playing with a guy like Steph Curry, which questions how he fits in the league because I feel like Steph Curry can play with everyone. But anyways, that's besides the point. You might as well take him and sign and trade him somewhere else or something. It just doesn't make any sense why you're valuing him way too high, and clearly teams are calling out their BS and saying, we're not giving up a ton for him. They want a young player and a pick for Jonathan Kuminga, and that's just not going to happen. Like, you might get your young player might be like Devin Carter. Devin Carter and maybe a heavy protected pick. But they want an unprotected pick for Kuminga, and that's just not realistic. Why wouldn't you just take your swing in the draft? You haven't seen enough. Like, I think you've seen enough to know that Kuminga can be something good in the right hands, but it's not like he's some superstar. He is a guy who came from, he came from an area, he didn't go to college, came from an area where you see these very big inconsistencies because they're not underneath those college coaches to really start getting that basketball IQ developed as soon as possible. They're playing these basically, these pro teams that, I mean, there's a reason the G League Ignite doesn't exist now, right? It worked for some. You see like a Men Thompson, Asar Thompson, but others, I don't know if it's going to work. Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga. Moving in at number 9, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis is somebody that they obviously are retooling. They just traded away Desmond Bane. They fired their coach. Taylor Jenkins is gone. The new coach implemented more pick and roll offense, which seemed to be working better. They better hope Kentavious Caldwell-Pope can have, the haul you got back from Desmond Bane, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And they kind of should hope that he can resurgence that three-point shot a little bit because it was pretty rough for Orlando, right? So where I see their ceiling is realistically like a 6 seed maybe. And but I don't know, in the Western Conference, as tough as it is, I mean, I have them at power rank 9. Like, there's a reason for that. I just don't think the roster's that great. This season's really going to be a huge season for Ja Morant, though. 1, can he have a fully healthy season? 2, is he going to showcase that he is fully a number 1 option on a super successful team? Super successful, honestly, for this season specifically, because you have a new coach and all that, just get past the first round of the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see that this year because at number 9, you're then in the play-in, like realistically, you're in the play-in. Let's say you make it out of the play-in, you're running into like the Thunder in round 1. They're not beating the Thunder. Or even if they run into the 2 seed, if the Thunder are the 1 seed, you're running into the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Rockets, something like that. Where it's going to be a team that their starting 5 is way better than your starting 5. Let's move on to number 8. I have the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs have done everything right. They drafted Victor Wembanyama, of course. They just got blessed with the number 2 overall pick. They drafted Dylan Harper. They've got Stephon Castle here. They've got Carter Bryant, who he is the second player I was talking about earlier with possible steals of the draft when I was speaking of Nick Clifford as well. It's one of those two. Carter Bryant looks like, from Summer League, from the little stint we saw in Summer League, he looks like he could be something legit. Honestly, he looked better, in my opinion, than Dylan Harper did. Now, we need to see it on the pro court and, give it some time, of course, especially with Dylan Harper being a guard. Those guys typically take a little bit more time to, get to the flow of things than those wings. But Carter Bryant, they look like they got their starting lineup set. De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle. You got a guy like Carter Bryant, if he can play the 3. He's a bit of a tweener. I'm not sure really where he fits, whether he's a 3 or he's a 4. But then you got Jeremy Sohan right there, and then Victor Wembanyama. With guys like Dylan Harper coming off your bench, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, it's at least an 8-man roster I trust right there. Their backup center probably could use some work, but, your cards are in Victor Wembanyama. And this roster is ready to take that next step. I think they're ready to finally climb into that play-in area, that first round of the playoffs. That's where they should be looking at. Also, if Dylan Harper is somewhat, if he's close to ready, they might look to move off of De'Aaron Fox for a wing, for a disgruntled star that might be a little, De'Aaron Fox might get the deal done for, and you might get a little bit more in return, honestly. Because, let's just take Paul George as an example. He seems like a good prototype that would fit very well with this roster. A 3-and-D kind of player. If they go talk to the Pelicans about a Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, because I think that's what they're missing right now, is really solidifying that small forward position. Who is your starting small forward? You have your 2 stars, De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama. You've got some exciting young talent around him. Stephon Castle, of course, Vic is still young, Dylan Harper, etc. I think that forward can be Carter Bryant. But if, let's say, Carter Bryant just needs a little time to develop, you go talk to, the Pelicans about Herb Jones and or Trey Murphy. Bring them on this roster. That's something I would be very excited for if I am a Spurs fan. So, let's move on. Number 7. I have the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, they, of course, have the Kyrie injury. So, but they went and signed D'Angelo Russell. I think that he is a player that can hold down the fort. Not necessarily he's going to elevate this roster heavily or anything like that. He can hold down the fort and just do what he needs to do to keep this roster afloat for when Kyrie gets back, and then D'Angelo Russell could be your backup point guard. Then, I think Cooper Flagg is legit. I think he's a superstar. I put all those eggs in the basket. I'm ready to say that now. I am a Celtics fan who had said, let's go talk to the Mavs about Cooper Flagg for Jaylen Brown. I will stand on that. I am a firm believer. Cooper Flagg is all that. Dallas, of course, got lucky with that number 1 overall pick. Is it luck? Is it rigged? I'm not going to get into that. But you have such a good roster that if Cooper Flagg is who I think he'll be, this team is ready to compete now. Even with Kyrie's injury. This team, Derek Lively, Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington. You have Klay Thompson still here. D'Angelo Russell. When Kyrie comes back, Kyrie. And then that'll just add depth to your point guard play. This roster's ready for Cooper Flagg to be legit. I was saying with how the Spurs might be a wing away from being something super serious. Same with the Mavs. It's they're a solid playoff team without Cooper Flag, right? With fully healthy without Cooper Flag. But then you throw Cooper Flag in there, and if he is what I think he's going to be, I mean, that's a dangerous roster. Him so young and on such a cheap deal. That is scary. Moving in to number 6, I have the Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think this one might shock some people. They might have them a little bit higher. I just think the Nickeil Alexander-Walker loss is a lot bigger than I think they are making it out to be. They're a team that needs depth. You know, of course, you've got Naz Reid coming off your bench, and maybe they believe Terrence Shannon Jr. is ready to take that next step. But what happens if Rob Dillingham's not ready and Terrence Shannon Jr. needs one more year? Mike Conley's not getting any younger. He's not in the prime of his career. He is somebody that he's ready to pass the torch on so he can retire. But can he retire if Rob Dillingham still needs another year? I was so excited. I thought Rob Dillingham, when they got him, I was hyped because I thought he was going to be so good, almost like a Allen Iverson-esque. And so far, I haven't seen it. And again, another one of those guys that skipped college to go with the pro route right off the bat, right out of high school. And he is looking a little bit rough so far. Now, of course, he's small. He needs to put on some pounds. He needs to be able to defend. That's the biggest question mark. I think the offense is there just fine. The defense is going to be the question mark. Can he hold his own? Can he stay on the court? Or are you going to run into these series where, yeah, you run into teams like the Lakers who are just going to hunt him? They're going to hunt him. The Thunder are going to hunt him. Whoever he is defending is going to put him in the post every play. I mean, that's what I would do. It just makes the most sense. The Timberwolves, though, they are a roster that they need a secondary star, like bad. Anthony Edwards can't do it all himself, which makes sense because these days no one can, right? Jokic needs his Robin in Jamal Murray. Shea needed J-Dub to finally branch out and spread his wings, and he finally did. You know, the Celtics, Tatum needed Brown, and Brown needed Tatum, etc. Anthony Edwards needs his Robin. And I don't think it's Julius Randle, but who knows? It could be. Realistically, though, this team, they need something else. They need to work on some depth. I like Naz Reid a lot. You could possibly move off of Rudy Gobert because I think Naz Reid is ready to take over, but, you know, who knows? But yeah, I don't think that these other 5 teams that are ahead of them, I don't think that the Timberwolves are too, I think there's a bit of a gap there. Coming in at number 5, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. I know a lot of people have the Lakers a lot higher than this. I just question, 1, the depth of the Lakers, and 2, I question the fit of Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron. I don't know. I don't love it. I also think that they lost out heavily on losing Dorian Finney-Smith. I think he is a big blow to that defensive side of the ball that they're going to be drastically missing. Of course, the Lakers are also one of those teams that always seems to be active around the deadline. So hopefully that what they can do to fix that is bring in somebody. Maybe you pair Austin Reeves with, I don't know. Austin Reeves goes and gets you a wing pretty much. Because I think Austin Reeves is a bit redundant on this roster. I don't think you need Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. 3 guys who want the ball. I know LeBron is taking a bit of a step back now because of Luka. And Luka is finally, he's working out over the summer and he's staying in shape and everything. So we might see an MVP-esque Luka this year. But overall, this roster, it's good, not great. I love the DeAndre Ayton acquisition. I think he'll be great fitting alongside Luka. But I think you could take Austin Reeves, maybe pair him alongside a Dalton Connect, and you move off of him. And you go and get that wing, that 3-and-D wing. And honestly, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect is not a bad package in return. Because I'm trying to think of like a team out there. Like if they could go get like an OG Anunoby, I know the Knicks are not going to trade him, but that kind of mold of player where you put OG on this roster and that's your Dorian Finney-Smith, a 3-and-D guy. That's exactly what you're looking for. You go and talk to the Trailblazers maybe about Denny Adbiha, or, Cam Johnson would have been a perfect fit here, but of course he's in Denver. You go and, I don't know, the Sacramento Kings about Keegan Murray. 3-and-D guy, perfect fit. So the Lakers are an interesting team. You go, of course, with Luka being in shape, I think you have to keep them high. But moving in at number 4, the partnering team in LA, I have the Clippers. The Clippers, I believe in them fully. I've convinced myself. James Harden, Kawhi, Bradley Beal, Zubac, Derek Jones Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovic, Nicholas Batum, Chris Dunn. I've convinced myself that this roster is going to be good. This roster is ready. And if Kawhi can stay healthy, if Harden stays healthy, it could be a dangerous roster that could... I think during the regular season, they're going to be a bit slow. They're going to be probably like a 5th or 6th seed. And then they're going to be the team you don't want to see in the first round. And whoever sees them in the first round is getting upset, I think. Whether it's, a Thunder or a Nuggets or something like that. I really like the Clippers roster and I'm all in on it. Because although, keep in mind, a power ranking does not necessarily mean that's where they're going to fall with their seeding. Please remember that before you destroy me in the comments saying, well, you put them at a 4th in power ranking, why are they not going to be a 4th seed? I think it's because they're going to take it really slow during the regular season. So they're going to be looking at overall like a 6th seed, like I was saying. So when they face like the Lakers, who might overperform, or the Grizzlies or the Timberwolves, who might overperform, then that's a team I'm not wanting to face in the first round, is the Clippers. At number 3. At number 3, I have the Houston Rockets. The Rockets could be, they were the 2 seed last season that added Kevin Durant. Realistically, I think these last 3 teams, you can put them any which way, 1 through 3. You can put them at number 1, number 2, or number 3. I wouldn't be mad at it. I think the Rockets are super solid. They went and they just got depth that they didn't even need. Dorian Finney-Smith, for example. Big help for depth. But this roster has Fred VanVleet, Reed Shepherd, who probably not going to start, but Freddie, Reed Shepherd, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun, Steven Adams they re-signed. They went and got Dorian Finney-Smith. They've got the pieces to beat the Thunder. They've got the pieces to beat Jokic. They've got the pieces to beat Luka. They've got the pieces to beat every team in the NBA. Like, realistically, they have a lot of versatility here. Last season, they ran this 2 big man lineup of both Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun, and it was dominant. Now, depending on the team that you're facing, you could have so many different lineups here. And I think, like, realistically, Kevin Durant is going to help out Amen Thompson so much. Because Amen Thompson, the one thing he lacks is just his shooting. So now you put him with the greatest scorer in the world, and boom, give him 1 season with Kevin Durant or multiple seasons with Kevin Durant. You have this guy that is an all-NBA defender and probably the most athletic guy in the NBA. And you put him with Kevin Durant. Like, I think Amen Thompson, few years from now, we're talking all-NBA first teams for him, in my opinion. He is elite. I wish the Celtics had him. But, of course, that's not the thing. We're talking about the Rockets right now. So, yeah, this roster, I think they're a dangerous team. Wouldn't want to face them in the playoffs until I absolutely have to. I hope that if I am, because obviously the last two teams are the Thunder and the Nuggets. Which way, I'll explain in a second. But if I am hoping, like let's say I'm the Nuggets, for example. I'm hoping that the Thunder and the Rockets have to play each other before I have to play them. I don't want to play both. I only want to play one. Because eventually you're going to have to play one of them, probably. So, moving on at number 2, I have the Denver Nuggets. I really thought about putting them number 1. And like I said, these 3 teams, the Thunder, the Nuggets, and the Rockets, I think you can interchange them any which way, and it makes sense. They're like very neck and neck. This roster, though, is probably the best Nuggets roster that Jokic has had. They went out, they said, what was the issue last year? Oh, we need to up our defense and we need a better a better playmaking three-pointer kind of guy. Like Michael Porter Jr. was just too expensive. So we went and traded him for Cam Johnson. And then that allowed you to sign Bruce Brown. And then that allowed you to bring in, like they added depth here. That's what they've needed is depth on this roster. They didn't necessarily need, Russell Westbrook, for example, but they needed guys who can come off the bench and play solid minutes and just do their role and boom. And that's exactly what they did. I'm very excited because Jokic with depth is scary. Like, now you're going to have to worry about so many different guys on the court at all times. Him and Cam Johnson are going to be really good together too. But last but not least, of course, at my number 1 spot, I do have the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're the best team in the league. I think when you win the championship, you got to be the best team till you're beaten. They're a team, of course, didn't really need to make any moves in the offseason. So they were like, yeah, let's just lock our guys down. Paid Chet Holmgren, right? They're a team that they've got it all. They've got the wings. They've got the big men. They've got the defenders. They've got the offensive capabilities. They've got the scoring, whole 9 yards. The question is, the rest of the West got better. Are you going to be able to keep up with those other teams? And is there going to be a bit of champion regression? A little bit of championship hangover, you might say. That's my biggest question mark for the Nuggets. Outside of that, though, I mean, we could see possibly a Shea repeat MVP. A Thunder repeat winning the championship. I wouldn't be surprised. They're a great team. They're a dominant team. And their possibility of the championship dynasty started. Can it continue? So, without further ado, guys, this has been another Beyond the Arc episode. If you did enjoy this, do me a huge favor. Smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Comment down below what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. I really enjoy replying to your guys' comments, that whole 9 yards. So without further ado, it's been another Beyond the Arc episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.